Hey everyone, it's Triple Mango Thread or Ashley, and today we're talking about 10 underrated commander cards, starting with Chain Reaction. For 2 and 2 red, we get a sorcery that deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. I love this board wipe, and it's highly underrated, especially for the price. Going for the lowest I see is 22 cents from Commander 2021. This can be a great budget option if you're not wanting to spend more money on a board wipe. And also, if you're playing against a huge token deck, this is going to be a great option for you. If they have 10 1/1s, well now we're going to deal at least 10 damage to each creature, only for 4 mana. Next we're going to talk about Command the Dreadhorde. For 4 black as a sorcery, we can choose any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers in all graveyards. Command the Dreadhorde deals damage to you equal to the total mana value of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. This is an amazing card, especially for 6 mana. Rise of the Dark Realms, we're looking at 9 mana, so we get to save 3 there, and instead of that extra 3 mana, we're paying with our life. This is only 65 cents. You heard me right, 65 cents for this awesome card. I can just grab whatever creature and planeswalker I want as long as I pay the 6 mana and whatever life. Absolutely. I can steal somebody's Avenger of Zendikar for 7 life, or whatever other powerful creature or planeswalker you can think of. I highly recommend this card, even if you're not a graveyard deck and you have black. This can be a really fun one to use on your opponents. Next, let's talk about this underrated card called Damn. For 2 black, we get a sorcery that lets us destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated, and it also has Overload for 2 white. So instead of paying the 2 black, instead we pay 2 white, and now we can destroy all creatures as if it is a Wrath of God. You have to be in at least white or black in order to play this, but for $2.86, this is a steal. I love being able to use it for targeted removal or even a board wipe. You see a lot of removal and board wipes in these colors anyways, but even if you're a 5-color deck, I really recommend this one. For the price and for what it does, it's a great pickup. Let's talk about Verity Circle next. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card, and then we can also pay 4 and a blue to tap a creature without flying. So that would trigger Verity Circle and let us draw a card for 5 mana. I don't think I would ever pay this cost unless I really needed to, but this can be seen as a budget replacement, especially because for 42 cents and 3 mana, this is an interesting way to replace Rhystic Study. I think it's more likely that our opponents would destroy a Rhystic Study over Verity Circle, and this is because Rhystic Study is pretty much infamous. Do you pay the 1? Do you pay the 1? This makes it where whenever an opponent taps their mana dork, such as Llanowar Elves, we're going to be able to draw a card, or whenever they tap one of their elves to give each of their creatures a +1/+1 counter, we get to draw a card. Do not underestimate this card. For 42 cents, why would you not play this? That's what I have to say about that. Garruk's Uprising. For 2 and a green, it's an enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, we get to draw. Creatures you control have trample, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This is an amazing green card, and if you don't have it, I highly recommend you pick it up, especially if you're playing huge creatures, which in green you usually are, and now you give your creatures trample for only 2 and a green. Even if you just need to give your creatures trample, this is a great card for you to pick up, especially for $1.17. This is a great budget card, and it's going to let us draw every time we get those huge creatures on our battlefield. This is one you need to pick up. Kenrith's Transformation. For 1 and a green, it's an enchantment aura. We can enchant a creature. When it enters the battlefield, we draw a card, and the enchanted creature loses all abilities, and it's a green creature elk with base power and toughness 3/3. This is an amazing removal spell, and we get to draw off of it as well. I highly recommend this for getting rid of someone's commander, and when I say get rid of, I mean they now just have a 3/3 elk as their commander, and they're not going to be able to get their commander back unless their commander dies. Since their commander's not being moved to another zone, their commander's literally just stuck on their battlefield, and we got a card off of it as well. I love this one. Again, highly underrated, 25 cents. Pick this one up. I think it goes in every green deck, honestly. You can shut down anybody's commander or a huge creature such as Avenger of Zendikar, Consecrated Sphinx, any kind of crazy creature they're going to have. Dreadhorde Invasion. For 1 and a black, it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. So this means you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on an army you control, and if you don't control one, you create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token at first. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. So the point of this card, in my opinion, is to make it where we constantly are sacrificing the one creature we get. That way we're not making the zombie that we get bigger power and toughness every upkeep of ours. Because I see this as a very budget Bitter Blossom. Because at our upkeep we lose 1, then we get a 1/1 fairy. Now we're getting a 1/1 zombie, and we're losing 1 life as well. So if we have this in Meren, this is perfect. We want our creatures to die, and at our upkeep, we make a creature every time. So if we have a sack outlet, we can keep getting those experience counters from Meren. I just love this card. Highly underrated. It did get a recent reprint in the Midnight Hunt Commander deck, and now it's only 36 cents if you buy that copy. Such a great card. Auric Loremage for 2 black. It's a 3/3 human warlock. We can tap it to look for any card in our library and put it into our graveyard. And then if it's an instant or sorcery, put a +1/+1 counter on Auric Loremage. Even if you're not interested in instants and sorceries in your graveyard, if you are a graveyard deck, this is a perfect card for you. Because now we have a tutor on a creature. Each turn, we can just grab whatever card we want from our library and put it into our graveyard. This is a 32-cent card. Definitely think about picking this one up. Armored Skyhunter. This is a 3/3 for 3 and a white. It's a cat knight that has flying. When it attacks, we get to look at the top 6 cards of our library. We can put an aura or equipment from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment was put onto the battlefield this way, we can attach it to any creature we control. Put the rest of those cards in the bottom of your library in a random order. This is an amazing card because it has flying, so it's likely that our opponents are not going to be able to block it. It's a 3/3, so it's going to be a little bit harder to be killed because most likely they're going to have 1/1 flyers, and this is whenever it attacks, so we do not have to deal combat damage. For $1.40, I really recommend this one for any aura or equipment decks. The last card I want to talk about is Nil's Discipline Enforcer. For 2 and a white, we get a 2/2 human cleric. At the beginning of your end step, for each player, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature that player controls. So we're making one of our creatures and everyone else's creature get a little bit bigger with a +1/+1 counter. Each creature with 1 or more counters on it can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of counters on that creature. Not only is it promoting this second ability, I was able to play against a deck that was all about +1/+1 counters. They could not pay the mana to attack me. It was so much. I think I had at least 4 counters on each of their creatures. They had 8 +1/+1 counters on one creature or even more. There's no way they're going to be able to pay that mana, and they're not going to be swinging at me. I love this. It comes in the Brina Demagogue deck, and this is severely underrated for 25 cents. I really recommend this one. Even if our opponents are not playing a +1/+1 counter deck, we can still make their creatures bigger, and hopefully they're not going to swing at us, they're going to swing at each other. And like I said, my opponent could not pay the amount of mana to kill me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like any of these cards, I'm going to have them in the description down below. Thank you to the patrons who help support this show, and if you'd also like to become a patron, you can receive benefits for doing so, and you're also helping support this channel. Be sure to comment down below what you thought of this video, and subscribe for more Mango content. I'll see you all in the next one.